What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the second channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a banger in the monthly qualifiers that just happened yesterday. I streamed this for a long time, so make sure to check out the main channel live stream VOD if you want to see how everything went down. There was so many banger games, by the way. So this is the upper bracket grand, well, basically the upper bracket final. It was basically like a quarter final. There are 8 teams there, and the 4 teams that win would automatically go through to the monthly final. So here we're watching Humble versus FUT, and this was the most anticipated game, I believe, mainly because FUT, everybody wanted to see how Guesty would get on. He's the new wonder kid on the scene. He's just turned 16, I believe, and he's been winning so many match arena tournaments for years and years. Angel Boy, of course, everyone knows Angel Boy, absolutely go to that knob as well. So these are a really strong team on paper, and in scrims they've been performing exceptionally well. Like, everyone's been saying they're like a tier above everybody in the EMEA, which is just crazy to even think. And then of course we've got Humble. So Humble, your world champions from 2 years ago, runners up last year. They won Brawl Cup. And do I even need to talk about them? So we went into watching them a little bit late here, but again, I'm watching the VOD back from my stream. And with this matchup, I think I predicted like a 3-2 FUT, but that is to no discredit to Humble. Like I said, I wanted like a bold prediction, and with FUT, it's always going to take them. Of course, I don't want to ruin it if you've not seen it, but it's always going to take them a little bit longer. You know, you're comparing FUT to Humble, right? So Humble are a team that this is their 3rd season together now, and they've not finished loading second at the World Finals. So, you know, on average, that is 1.5 in terms of placing at World Finals, which is absolutely crazy. So FUT would have to work out from, even though, again, scrim rates are a pretty good indicator on how strong a team is, but it's never the deciding factor. There's so many factors that go into it. It's like, can players handle the pressure on game day? Will the drafting strategy change? And we'll kind of see here. So we look at FUT's drafting strategy, for example. Brawlers like Mortis, or most aggro brawlers, are just a lot easier to play in scrims rather than game day. It can be a lot more complicated to make brawlers like Mortis work. So Mortis is a fantastic brawler, by the way, basically on the cusp of S tier because he's got 2 really strong gadgets, and a lot of pros are using the Creature of the Night gadget right now. I think Guesty's using the Spinny gadget still, but you can see here, Mortis has some decent matchups into like Gus and Rico, but because of the team play from Humble, constantly pinching out the Mortis, making sure that Mortis doesn't push forward, it's basically impossible. Like, Mortis can't get anything going in a game mode like Knockout, or just in general most of the time without his super. And in Knockout, you're constantly grouped up near your teammates, so Mortis can't really go for an isolated 1 versus 1 fight. Mortis is one of the best 1 versus 1 brawlers in the game, but you can see here, Bell's Rock, they're just constantly pinching. We've got Charlie, who's good at wall peeking. We've got Rico that has his literally main attack, wall peeks, so it's just very easy for Humble to constantly keep Guesty low. So Guesty's literally one shot here. Boss with a super onto Angel Boy, gets him down as well. Guesty's weak, and Nob's going to go down. And that's going to be the first set. Very, very convincingly for Humble. I think their team play was just better overall. I don't like the Mortis pick in Bell's Rock. I think they could have gone with anything different. They could have even gone with Miko, or just anything that was aggressive. So that's the first set. Let's jump into the next one. Alright guys, now jumping into set number 2, we have Open Business Hot Zone here. And in terms of the compositions, this time around, I definitely on stream, I said I preferred Humble's composition a lot more. And this is due to the fact that you've got, in terms of your pure matchups, you've got Poco Frank into Finks. So if you're wondering on how to counter Finks in Hot Zone, it's particularly in this meta, it is like Frank. It is a lot of the tankier options, especially if you pair Poco with a Frank. It can be very, very dangerous. And then the Mortis is good into Ruffs, but the problem here, basically the whole game, it's like, okay, Frank counters the Draco, but Ruffs can give Draco a lot of hypercharges, and this composition feeds a lot of supers to the Ruff. So the Ruff breaks open the map well enough. That's going to allow the Draco to thrive, and Draco's hypercharge can literally 1 versus 3. And you pair that with a Fink super as well. It makes for a very toxic combination for FUT. So they can definitely win this. But again, I just think on pure matchup, and especially early game, I think that Humble have the composition. So like a Draco super with hypercharge with a dog tree it just does disgusting damage. If you see in a few moments like just how much damage it can deal is absolutely crazy. So Semantic is doing a good job on the Frank. There's only a little bit of percentage left there. Angel Boy's got another hypercharge to use, and just see how quickly he bursts down so many brawlers there. That's an important kill from Boss, and now they can just charge in. The Finks and Ruffs just don't simply have enough damage to even try and compete with that. And that's going to be the first round of the set going towards Humble. So at this current point in time, while streaming, I was like, okay, this is a not really that close. Like, especially considering a lot of people still predicted FUT to win this one. And again, like on paper, FUT look like the best team in the region, even though it's so crazy to call so early on in the season when there's been no monthly finals or even a LAN to even put any sense to that theory. But it's just very interesting because the way that FUT work, right, as well, is in terms of like Guesty overall, he's of course an insanely like skillful mechanical player, rarely makes any mistakes, which makes him such a good player. It's also his draft. What I noticed over watching some of his gameplay, matcherinos, and just hearing some other pro things, the way that he drafts is very, I don't know, it's not weird, but it's just so clean and so much different to how a lot of people draft. So for example, like Guesty was drafting for Totem last year for I think the first half of the season. I don't think it really worked for Totem, that kind of draft idea. Like Guesty's the type of person to draft like a Penny. You saw it in Hideout against FUT Academy. If you guys watch my stream, for example, like some really like, I don't know, basic ideas, like the type of person to kind of draft a Griff, or these brawlers are a bit underrated but can get value if you play it absolutely correctly. So I'm waffling here at this point, but you can see here, this is how the FUT combination can work. The whole map is opened up here, and just because of all the dog treats and the hypercharges from Draco, again another hypercharge, everyone's just, look at this, the Think Super and the Draco hypercharge, by the way. It's been a long time since I've seen that combination. That's a disgraceful combination. The amount of damage that it's just dealing to all of these guys. Yeah, but I mean, Humble can't do anything. If the setup is like this, they just stand no chance in taking down the Draco, because even the Frank got absolutely melted with the Think Super and the Draco hypercharge. So what I love about this matchup is that you just see the level of Brawl Stars in general and the level of competition. It just goes up and up every year, it feels. And just even simple synergy strategies like this, you just don't see in your ranked games, and you will only see at this pro level. So again, here going into the final game of this set, I was still thinking that Humble would win this one, mainly because, again, because of the Frank on the Draco, they just can't open up the map, and they just can't allow for Draco to get going, to get those supers chained and those hypercharges chained as well. So this is much better from Humble this time around. I think they probably got, not overconfident, but I think they just fed a little bit too early on. So 20% even game for both of the teams here. You can see Nob already, he's got his second super. That's going to be another wall break. That's two lots of walls already gone down, and the Think super as well. So all in all, it's actually not looking too bad for FUT, but this is how both things start to get a lot more sweatier. So Lukey's looking to get onto Guesty here. Guesty uses the gadget to get a lot of his ammo back. But now this is really smart from Semantic. He's going to push up, and he's going to deny Angel Boy from getting that hypercharge. 300 health, gets the hypercharge stun as well. And that's as clutch as it gets, because if Semantic dies there, Angel Boy gets the hypercharge. That can lead to a lot of control from FUT. So now Angel Boy has the hypercharge. He's going to kill Luke. He's going to kill Semantic as well because of the Think super. But that is a lot of value gone down there. Bot's going to go down as well, but Humble are really clever here. They could just go all in at this point, but you can see here Luke is just waiting for Boss to at least to get to a decent position, and then they start to go in. Luke is on a flank because they need a little bit of positioning. Semantic's going to get himself onto Angel Boy. He's going to get the slow onto him and the super, which is perfect. And this is the team playing coordination you need as a top team, by the way. It may look very simple, but so many teams there would just rush in. But it was quite clear there from the strategy from Semantic. It was saying, okay, I'm gonna get Angel Boy out, and then we pinch him together and we go. And that's going to enable them to get the 3 versus 2, push onto the zone, and they're going to win that set overall. So very clutch plays in the end there, especially because it looked so good for FUT with the map opened up, and yeah, it looked pretty disastrous for Humble. I don't know how they even managed to win in that situation. So 2-0. Let's jump into the next. All right, guys, jumping into the third set then. So I missed the first engagement here with FUT and Humble, but it just looked like FUT in this position. If you tune it, literally, I tuned in right now. I thought, okay, well, FUT have got such an amazing draft here, considering it's 7 gems up. Lukey gets some really good shots here onto Angel Boy. So in terms of pure matchups, I remember speaking to Semantic came into stream not too long after this game, and he said that in terms of composition, he liked his comp. And to begin with, again, I must have been skewed from the thought process, well, just logging into the game when I did. But after seeing it, I thought, okay, FUT might have a good combination. Like, Lumi's pretty good into this, you know, Mo can be good into Frank to feed super, and Outrangers to Sandy. But I think it was quite clear, especially once it got going with the Frank and the Pierce. Pierce can just take over the game, but I guess he gets a really good hypercharge there. But I think Lumi just can't even kill Frank. Frank is such a dangerous brawler, and especially when Semantic is on it, he just can't kill him. There's just not enough damage to deal with it. So Angel Boy gets a really good kill there, but the Sandy star power is going to get the kill. So it's good from Boss. He needs to try and get as much pressure from this Sandy super, but Humble have done such a fantastic job from 8-0 down. The map is fully opened up with Guesty now with the gems. Angel Boy can start to go a little bit aggressive, but Mina can't do anything into a Frank, really. You can see here, even Guesty with a stun, it takes so long to kill a Frank. The Frank still isn't dead, even with a super and all of that damage. Absolutely crazy. So yeah, Lumi with a recent buff is at least playable right now, but not exactly meta. But that's going to be a good super from Luku. Angel has to tank the entire thing there. It's going to make him very, very weak. But again, as the map is opened up, it's just going to look better and better for FUT. I guess he gets another kill onto Boss. I don't think this is really that good of a Sandy game. It's very, very difficult for Sandy to really do anything. But hypercharge super here from Nob. I feel like he maybe could have done a little bit more there. Angel Boy gets the hypercharge. I thought in that situation that they probably could get away with that. I mean, they get more gems here. Semantic's going to clutch up again with the hypercharge and just stay alive, which is just fantastic from him. He's eventually going to go down, but it buys enough time for his teammates to go up. This is just so incredibly sway. Angel Boy with a super there. It's going to get a kill onto Lukey, and there we go. All the gems are going to finally go down, and it's looking really good for FUT. Very messy game in the end there, but Mo hypercharge onto Lukey. That's probably going to look like their win condition overall. But the problem is it might take Mo too long to get the hypercharge in the end. So yeah, FUT finally get a game on their hands, and especially considering the start 8-0, they probably should have won that faster. It was very, very messy in the end. But by the way, if you want to see any more of the pro games, again, check out my live VOD. There were so many bangers that you guys need to watch, and especially considering this is the first bit of esports we see this year, especially the first time seeing the buffies, for example. I think it's quite clear with the tournament gameplay that Frank is in need of a nerf. I think we all knew that, but Frank is an exceptional brawler and so hard to deal with the amount of health he has. So even here, Semantic's doing a good job of buying himself a bit of time here. So Angel Boy's got a lot of pressure, but into Lukey. Lukey knows how to find a lot of value. As I say that, he gets supered by Guesty. I didn't realise he got destroyed there. But good super there from Boss, and also the takedown from Guesty. So I'm just wondering how FUT can really fumble this at this point. They have 6 gems to 0. Guesty's in prime position here behind the wall. Semantic's going to run up, and he's probably going to get the kill. I mean, it's that Lukey super that gets them the kill, and then they can start to push up. Especially with Frank behind the wall with a super. Hypercharge already from Guesty, which is crazy. I feel like they probably should have gone with a hypercharge onto Semantic here, because as you can see, Semantic is just going to go to town on these guys and get the double kill, which just kind of, to me, just came out of nowhere. I really think they fumbled that. I mean, it was a good play from Semantic, but I don't know, it's tough. When Frank's in the pocket like that, it's very hard to get him out. But you can see how, I mean, Guesty played it perfectly, but I don't know what they could have done really differently. I think they shouldn't have rushed it. They had so much time. They had the gem advantage. They just needed to get a slow poke out of there. But it's very, very, very hard if you lose positioning once to get Frank out of that pocket, because there's nothing that can really counter the Frank. I mean, Mo can get the Frank down if Frank is a little bit weak. But if it's a full health Frank, there's no chance like Mo can kill him. So yeah, I think what I realized as the game went on, the only way they can really regain control back against that Frank down that lane is if they simply swap matchups, but I think they do it too late in the game. So yeah, I guess he's going to get some good damage onto Semantic. I think Frank can stay in a... Wow, what a snipe from Semantic, and Luki gets the kill onto Angel, and already Humble have the control. But as I was saying, like, Frank can kind of stay in similar range as Luki, as Guesty, especially with the recent Lumi projectile range nerf. Well, it wasn't that recent, but you know what I mean. So Angel Boy's going to try and get the kill onto Frank, but yeah, Mina just gets hard countered by the Frank. Any high health brawler, Mina just doesn't have enough damage. Even though she's a damage dealer, she doesn't have the damage to really deal with it. That's why Mina's more of a hybrid, because yes, she has kind of high damage against the squishy brawlers, but it's not exactly like she's, you know, a tank counter damage dealer, if that makes sense. She's more like a assassin. She like create space, but yeah, this is just Humble, just dominating. There's nothing they can FUT can really do, especially when they lose control like that in the early game. So they kind of fumbled things with their early control. Semantic just seems to hit every single gadget. Angel Boy's going to find the kill. The hypercharge from Nob might be able to get a reset in, but Semantic's doing a great job of making sure that these guys are not getting out with the gems, and this is how you defend a gem lead in Brawl Stars, guys. I've seen a lot of times in my stream that people were fumbling the gems pretty much the whole game, but they're making sure that they're getting the deaths in. There's nothing that these guys can do. Semantic's doing a great job of defending, and there we have it, a 3-0 sweep from Humble, which is very anticlimactic, but this just shows how good of a team Humble are. I mean, they still are. They literally got second some months ago, and they're still at the top of their game. So yeah, fair play to Humble. 3-0 they advance. And then if you guys want to see any of the other results, I mean, I'll let you watch the live stream if you don't want it spoiled. But you probably saw it already with well, if you watch any social media, if you watch my stream, if you're living under a rock, you wouldn't have seen it. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Congratulations to all the teams that qualified. And if you want me to deep dive into any of the games from the weekend, please let me know. So yeah, see you guys next time. Bye bye.